Hello fellas, welcome back to a brand new video. I've came to meet Alan and his Mk1 Escort. Now this is absolutely unbelievable thing. It's got a Mondeo
ST200 engine and it's supercharged.
Supercharged. Yeah. And you built this car as well, didn't you?
Yes.
And you call it the
call it the Monscot, which is of course Mondeo and Escort. Because there's a lot of Mondeo stuff in it.
And when did you build the car?
Oh, 8 years ago now.
8 years?
Yeah.
And what was it like when you bought it? Was it rusty? Have you done much work with it?
Yeah, it was a basket case.
Because a lot of these are now, aren't they, when you buy them now?
Yeah, it was a basket case. In fact, it was nicknamed the tea bag.
The tea full of holes?
Yeah.
So, obviously, was it originally yellow?
No, it was purple.
It was purple?
Yeah.
And you've put the big wide arches on. Obviously, these are a lot wider than...
Yeah, well, they are wider than standard, but there's a very good reason for that.
Right.
Yeah.
What's the reason?
Well, because it's Sierra chassis based.
The floor pan?
Yeah, the floor pan
you put a floor pan on it?
Yeah, well, the floor was knackered anyway, so I built a Sierra Cosworth floor pan into it from front to back.
Because inside, I noticed you've got the Sierra Cosworth centre console.
Yeah.
Right.
So there's more Sierra Cosworth on this than there is Mondeo.
Right, you might have to change the name.
That couldn't quit.
Mate, mad thing. And you see it's about 300 brake horsepower.
300 brake horse and 300 pounds-feet torque at the back wheels.
Right. So it's still rear-wheel drive, not four?
Not rear-wheel drive.
Right.
And Escort's got to steer for the rear. Yeah.
So how much wider are these arches?
They're something like 4 inches wider than a normal forest arch.
Are they? Really?
Yeah.
So 2 inches per side?
Yeah.
Mate.
So the whole car's like 6 feet wide. You know?
When I pulled in it, you can see how wide it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So what panels have you done on the outside? Obviously it's had wings, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, the wings, yes, and well, basically everything. But really, when you make a project like this, you know, there's a lot of manufacturing, there's a lot of bits are made up, you know, to fill in from the Sierra chassis to the Escort shell.
Did you do all that kind of work yourself?
Oh, yes.
You don't part it out and get someone else to do it?
No.
Did you do the paintwork on it?
Done the paintwork myself.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Mate, the paintwork is mint as well.
Yeah. Well, I've painted a lot of cars in my life.
Mate, you've done an incredible job of the paintwork.
Yeah.
Are you a painter by trade or a panel beater?
It's a hobby. It's an unhealthy hobby.
And you were saying you know exactly how much you've got in the car, haven't you?
Yeah.
You haven't told us, but you said I'd be quite surprised.
I haven't told you because I would like to think you might be shocked.
Right.
But there's $5,000 in it.
No way.
Yeah.
Is that including all the panels?
That's what I had to buy. You know, like panel work, wheels, stuff like that.
Engine?
5K. Well, the engine was... Well, what happened was I bought a whole Mondeo. You know, it was an MOT write-off. Right? That was 200 quid. So was the Sierra. It was an MOT write-off. And the Escort was the expensive bit. That was 1,300 quid for this basket case Escort. But it was complete. Right? So then I sold everything off that I didn't need, and I think I was up 500 quid. Right? Which bought the wheels and tyres to start off with, you know? So he went on for there. The engine itself, well, that came from the ST200 Mondeo. Then I supercharged it just to wake it up, you know, because it's quite a lethargic engine.
Can we put the button and have a look?
Yeah, we'll do.
Did you put all the supercharger on yourself?
Yeah. Many people ask, is there a kit available? No.
So you're literally just in your garage.
Yeah, the kit comes available with a welder. And that's how it fits in.
So where's the supercharger?
Yep.
Yeah.
Up here. And
so what's the supercharger originally?
Well, it's off a Mercedes C-Class. It's just an M45 supercharger, and it works on a bypass system. So when you back off the throttle, this goes into a vacuum, shuts off and supercharge there just circulates. So it glides in and out of supercharge there, and you never notice.
Can you hear it whistling as you drive?
Oh yeah, especially when it gets angry. Yeah.
So you can see as well there the Sierra.
Yeah, you can see the Sierra tops. Yeah, and how it's all blended in.
So you haven't used the Sierra inner wings, or have you?
Ah, there's Sierra.
Yeah, Sierra, are they?
That's all Sierra. Well, the top half, I mean, obviously the bottom half Sierra, but then the top half is up into just made up to suit the Escort shell. You can notice where how the bonnet hinges are on, because obviously they're on the bulkhead on an Escort, aren't they?
On them.
So they're on brackets there that are all bonded into the shell, which of course again helps strength.
Mate, you've done an incredible job, mind.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think it's amazing. This.
So the reason it all started off with a bet about 20 years ago in a pub, where crazy things under the influence of alcohol are formed. And this came up, and it was all about the price of Escorts. Like, to make or build a hot Escort, you just hit the Burton book and you just have a shopping list. And before you get to page 56, you've just spent 60 grand and you've not even got an engine, right? And I said, well, look, let's build an engine. Let's build a car, right? 5 grand, that's the budget. And it was meticulously kept to that.
Mate, you've done an incredible job. Absolutely incredible.
It's running its own ECU, like an aftermarket ECU.
Right.
With micro squirt for trigger wheels. That's a wee punt there. And that was interesting work, because obviously you just get the ECU, a bunch of wires and a book, and that's it. Work it out for yourself. And being, of course, American, right, American built, there's American humour in the manual, which really tickled me, and I have to tell you, I was reading through the book, and we'll get to the point where configuration of the ECU for your engine, because these ECUs will do from 1 cylinder to 16 and anything in between, right? So you have to configure the engine, tell it how many cylinders it's got. And the American humour comes in when it says, right, well, it's time to configure your engine. If you don't know how many cylinders the engine has, put everything back in the box and send it back. There's the American humour bit. So if you can't count, forget it. So everything you see in there, you'll not see any silicon hoses and polished parts and all the rest of it. I'll take you through it. That's a Caravan consumer box for all the fuse boxes and all the circuits.
Right.
You've got 3 different circuits in there. Obviously, you've got one for the electronics of the engine. You've got one for the Mk1, for your lights and wipers and that. And then you've got the auxiliary circuits for your lights, the power steering, the heated seats, of course. And
heated
of
seats?
Course,
you've got heated seats?
Yeah, you've got to have them. Yeah, and electrically adjusted. But being Ford, of course, you only get the driver's side does that.
Right.
Sod the passenger. Mk1 Laguna water bottle. It looks like it should be there.
It looks like it does.
You've got a V6 Golf radiator with over 25 fans that are nice and slim. So all this stuff, this was just lying in the back of the garage for years off the Mercedes. Aircraft battery up there, which is 680 amps, and it wings that over, no problem, right? So everything else was coming either from the Mondeo or the Sierra or something like that. So really things you had to buy were kind of inexpensive, like lights, there's smoke glass lights, bumpers, that kind of stuff, which you can all pick up reasonably cheap.
So have you put this bonnet vent on just for the top of this?
Just to try and keep the plenum cool, because when I fitted the supercharger, obviously I was getting a little bit of early detonation, and then I had to fit up a water methanol injection system, which again was quite easy. You've got quite a high pressure pump here, right? Spraying in there, and it cools the charge, because obviously the supercharged there is quite warm to hot. No intercooler, because it would look ugly. So it's timed with a switch here, so you could drive all day and not use any water methanol, right? But it's only when it's up above, half throttle, it starts to inject water in there at 400 psi to cool the charge,
right?
And then it stops detonation.
400 psi as well. That's
400 psi.
That's a lot.
It's a tiny little jet, and it makes a mist. So it really cools that charge, and then that stops the detonation. But what I found when it was on the dyno, the rolling road anyway, we ran out of water methanol. We lost 30 horsepower.
Really?
We did, aye. That was high up, and but all I had was screen wash. So I thought, try that. There's ones with a 30 horseback.
There'll be people
So I now
screaming
just
into
use
the,
screen wash.
there'll be people screaming in the phone
Yeah,
right
so
now.
the slogan is, of course, for a clean acceleration, use screen wash.
Right.
Right.
Also, you built this car as a bit of a driver, so inside you've
Yep.
got nice comfortable seats.
I have, yeah.
You haven't gone for like
You've got
bucket
to have your
seats.
creature comforts. I'm getting on a bit now, you know.
So you've gone for the Mondeo seats.
The Mondeo seats.
You haven't got some fancy bucket seats. You've got back seats. You haven't got.
Yeah.
You didn't want a
just-
roll cage
no,
or anything.
So weight wasn't a problem, and also interestingly, unfortunately the Mondeo that I bought for 200 quid, the seats were blue.
These were the
They were
original
blue.
seats were blue. Can I sit in?
Yeah, and I sprayed them black.
What, you've sprayed these black?
Yeah, and I thought they wouldn't last 6 months, but there you are. We're 8 years on.
They were all blue.
They were all blue. Yeah.
And what did you paint them with?
Well, it's a upholstery paint.
Mate, that's incredible. You
I
wouldn't
know,
even
and
know.
it's absolutely lasted well. Yeah.
So you've got the Sierra gear tunnel here, like a Cosworth
Yep.
one. So I'm guessing it's out
Yeah,
with Sapphire.
it's a big.
You've got your four
it's a big
switches.
tunnel. Yeah.
And you've got your, obviously this is just something you've made.
Yeah. Just to fill in that, all the side gauges and that.
And you've got your Mark 1 dash.
Yeah.
And these are Mondeo clocks.
They are. That was a wee bit of a challenge because they're an inch bigger in diameter to a normal Escort clock. So these were. I made these up in the lathe. The bezels.
These bits here.
Yeah,
the
alloy. Yeah. Spun them up on the lathe and made a fascia to finish it off and try and get the V6 clocks in.
Mate,
Because
what a
obviously
job.
they're electronic, so that was fitting for that.
Mate, it's incredible what you've done here. Incredible. And like you see, you do it all yourself.
Yeah,
it isn't.
absolutely.
You don't send it to
No,
companies or anything.
no.
Just trial and error, figure it
Don't
out.
trust anybody.
I don't trust people. I don't trust people. Mate, it's incredible.
Plus, I'm a pretty impatient guy. Like, I mean, no, that wouldn't work. No.
So you've got waffle mats as well. That's something I just happened to notice, these waffle mats.
Aye.
Mate, can we go for driving it?
We can.
I wouldn't. So have we got electric windows as well?
No.
No.
That's the
Oh,
combination.
windy windows.
Wind the windows.
Aye.
It's not that technical. It is 50 years old, you know.
I would be quite happy with windy windows. I just seen all the buttons and thought maybe you've wired it up.
No.
Oh mate, that sounds amazing. You can hear that supercharger whine there, can't you?
Yeah.
So you're saying as well, you use the car, you go out, you go out in it with your wife.
Yeah, as much as we can in the summer months.
Get the dog in the back.
The dog in the back.
What is it, a border collie?
Border collie.
It must be pretty cramped in the back, man.
Yeah.
So what gearbox are you on, Alan?
That's an MT75 from a Sierra.
So that's originally, are there a 4-wheel drive gearbox?
Yeah.
So you've converted it to 2?
Yeah.
Right. Does it come out with an XR4Y or something?
An XR4i, that's exactly what it came from.
Ah, it's a nice car, this. I do like this. It sounds incredible, Mike.
It's very drivable. I mean, that's it into 5th gear. Now it's quite high geared because on the dyno it topped out at 147.
Hit the limit of 5th gear at 147.
147, and it was just on 6,500 RPM.
So that's your
And it
rev
was
limit.
147, so it's quite high geared.
Uh-huh.
But even there in top gear, I mean, you just plant the throttle, it just
pulls.
It just pulls away. So it's a very drivable car.
Reliable as well.
Oh, aye.
You had any issues? Any breakdowns or anything?
Nope, it's never
No?
been a bit of bother. It's done something like 13,000 miles now. Never been a bit of bother.
I tell you what as well, the passenger seat, it's quite comfortable. It's not bumping or crashing about, mind. The feels almost quite modern.
And it just keeps on giving. You know.
Oh no, it's not out. I want to get home.
This thing will just keep on pulling like.
Keep on pulling.
I mean, even there at 90, they just slam it and then they'll just keep on pulling.
Slow down, slow down. Matt is nervous. you got a stereo there as well? I'm guessing that works.
Well, yes, it does work.
It does work.
Yeah.
What brakes are you on then, Alan?
Standard Cosworth brakes. I thought, well, if it's good enough to stop a Cosworth, it'll stop this.
Have you gone for the 4-pod Cosworths or the single pod?
No, it's just the standard, Cosworth
the Sapphire.
brake. Because it's a road car, you're not needing big brakes.
No.
You know, if it was a track car, yes. It's not. I mean, I've not used the brakes yet. As you can feel it in the corners, it just...
So I'm guessing it's got quite good engine braking as well, has it? Is that what you find? Like it's...
Yeah.
Mate, it's quite comfortable sat in your mind.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, we've got the windows up because we've got the microphones on, so it's a bit warm today.
And I've not got any aircon, sorry. You know, it's 22 degrees today.
It's warm today, man. It is warm.
So the aircon is the window.
But I'm guessing you've got working heaters and everything?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
Do you use it in the winter?
No.
Just like a nice fair weather car?
Yeah, absolutely. No, as soon as the salt machines are out,
I'm like that.
That's in.
Tucked away.
Yeah.
So is the bonnet fiberglass or steel?
No, it's steel.
And you made the little bulge yourself?
Yeah, the wee bulge, yeah. Again, the mesh that you see on the grille and the holes that feeds the air into the engine, the mesh is all from tractor grills, would you believe?
All right.
You know? So everything on this car is made or comes for something else.
That's how you've got to change.
Why, you know, there's not a lot of money in it. You know, it's if you just use your loaf and just make things do. And well, it's worked.
Mate, I think it's incredible. This, irrespective of how much it costs, this is an incredible car. Like sitting here now, it drives. It feels like it's nice to drive. It's comfortable. It's not banging or crashing. It hasn't got rock hard suspension on. What suspension have you got on?
Well, the suspension is all funny enough Cosworth. But it's lowered and stiffened.
So you got like conies or something on, a set of conies?
Well, yeah, but I thought that it might be too firm for a car of this weight. But it's not, it's just perfect. In fact, what the other astonishing thing was, when we corner weighted the car, right, it was exactly to the kilo on each corner.
Really?
Now, it wasn't designed like that, that was just pure coincidence. Luck. Yeah, just pure luck. But that again is its secret to laying that power into the tar.
But obviously it's heavier at the front than the back. It's not a 50-50 weight.
No, it's 50-50. It's exactly the kilo.
No front to back?
Yeah. Because obviously you've got the alloy engine up front.
Oh, is it an aluminium engine block?
It's all alloy. And you know, so is the gearbox, but then you've got the heavy.
It spins the wheels easy, mate, doesn't it?
Well, you would too if you had 300 bloody horsepower in the back of them. It's a bit of an animal, but it's a very drivable animal. You know,
how wide are your tyres on the back?
They're 225s, I think.
So it's still quite a width, isn't it?
Well, they're 225s on van tyres. They're not expensive tyres.
They're a nice looking tyre though. You've got a nice sidewall, a nice bubble to them.
Yes. Again, why spend all that money on an expensive tyre when a van tyre does the same job? Everybody gets hung up on tyres and brakes, and I think really come and have a go in this car and it'll put you a completely different perspective on what you're told you should have to what you can have for half the money. And that's what this car's all about.
Mate, honestly, I think this is absolutely wicked. Absolutely wicked.
I mean, we'll just shove it in the fifth gear and I mean, you can drive it like a granny. You know, and it'll just pull the way. It's so drivable on the roads. It's not cammy or, you know, you're not a change down or... That's it. It just sits there, you know, and it just pulls away.
Have you ever took it on track or anything, or is it just purely a road car for you?
I think the problem what I would have on a track, there'd be too many people trying to get near it. And I'd wipe a wing off.
That's the thing. That is the thing with track. It's other people, isn't it?
Yeah.
I would love to do a track day, but I would want the track to myself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So.
That's the water injection coming in.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
What does it do? Just kill the spark for a second?
It just gets a guts way. of water, and then it's okay after that.
So obviously you've got your stickers there. I'm guessing you do a load of tours in the car and you use it, you and your wife.
Well,
and
the Lakes tour is a big tour. I mean, there's over 215, I think, escorts appear at that.
Is it really?
And it starts off at Grasmere in the Lake District, and there's over 200 cars arrive there on the Friday night, and it's quite a spectacle because they're all gems. There's not a bad one amongst them, and they come from all over.
This must get some attention as well, though.
Well, funny enough, no, because it's very much the purists, shall we say? So this is like
anti-purist,
yeah, or as I call them, the bubble hats.
Mate, I would rather say this though than do you know what I mean? Something a bit different, bit of story behind it.
Well, there is a story behind it, but at the same time, when you see all these escorts, you know, it's either a Pinto, a Z-Tech, a Duratec, a BDA, a Millington, under the bonnet, and then you come to this and they go, well, what the hell is that? Right? Well, that's different. And if you're beside the car, it's quite funny. The purists will white berth it.
Really?
Oh, the bubble hats.
Touch it.
They must think they're going to get a disease. But if you walk away from the car, but keep an eye on them, they'll drift back.
Do they?
And they'll have a look, and you can see them
different.
picking holes in this and picking holes in that. Well, that's another escort been ruined. Well, mate, it was ruined anyway.
It was a tea bag anyway, as you call it.
And likewise, I have a Mexico anyway, which is fairly standard, but it's a Mexico replica. But it's a Mexico, as you can see what I mean. It's got all the Mexico running gear and engine and whatnot, but it's very standard car. And it's fine.
You'll have to send us a picture of the Mexico and I'll put it in for people to see.
But this is the fun car. It's a really enjoyable car just to drive.
Is this what if you out your two cars? Is this what you pick if you're going out?
Oh, absolutely.
For a Sunday drive along these nice roads.
Yeah, I call the Mexico the hedge hopper.
Why?
Because you wouldn't go on the main roads with it. Right. Because it's screaming its nuts off. You know, this is just a pleasant thing to drive. I mean, look at that. That's 1500 RPM.
In fifth gear?
In fifth gear.
This is popping along quite nice.
And you can return something like 30 miles to the gallon with this.
Can you?
But if you drive it like you stole it, you can get right down into the
low numbers.
Very low numbers. Yeah.
And you've done about 13,000 miles on the car since you built it?
13,000.
When did you build it? What year was it complete?
2015, yeah.
So that's nearly 9 years ago?
Yeah.
Mate, it's still looking well mine for 9 years.
And it's never had any modifications. It's never given any trouble. People ask, well, what have you done to it this year?
Nothing.
I've cleaned it.
Yeah. You will not MOT this, will you?
Don't have to MOT, but I do get it MOT.
You do get it MOT, do you?
Yeah, I just think it's just
check it over.
A nice thing to do. I don't agree with the MOT exempt thing on classic cars. I've seen too many that are absolutely, shouldn't be on the road, to tell you the truth. That was the three cars.
So that's the Mark 1?
That's the Mark 1, the Mondeo.
The Mondeo and the Sierra. Is it a Cosworth? Or was it just a 1.8 or something?
before I.
Oh, right, the XR4i.
Yeah, XR4i. But it runs the same suspension, I believe.
Is it the same gearbox tunnel?
Well, that was the 4x4 gearbox, yes.
Right, so it's a bigger tunnel.
It uses the same suspension brakes as a Cosworth. So then that was the unit that I made. You had to make up an adapter plate to fit the MT75 box on. That's my own manifolds that I made up. You see? So because predominantly it's a front wheel drive engine, so there's no really facilities to make it
longitudinal
to make it to run the proper way, as I call it. Right. So that was the unit sitting on the bench ready to be fitted in. And this was the floor pan stripped off, with all the Sierra body taken off it.
Oh, so that's a Sierra there?
Yeah, but I didn't like the big footwell, so I cut it off and I made my own boot. So it was a flat floor,
right?
As you could see maybe in the pictures, right? So then Then there was a kind of, well, I had to cut the rotten bit, which was a lot of it, you know, and then built in a big square box section frame to keep it, you know, firm and to keep it straight. Because obviously they've cut all the strength away. That was a sort of funny mock-up trial fit to see if things would fit on the Sierra.
So that's your Mark 1,
yeah,
the Mark 1 top on the Sierra
on the
floor.
Sierra floor pan.
And is the wheel width the same, or have you shortened the...
No, the wheelbase is different. The wheelbase is actually 7 inches.
Different.
So
Have you chopped the Sierra behind the...
Well, but Ford made a lovely seam across the back of the handbrake.
Right.
Right. So all you do is just unpick the seam, take away 7 inches, and weld it back on again. Handy Ford doing that. Right.
So is that where it was long, or was it being shortened there?
No, it was right across the handbrake.
So is it 7 inches longer on that picture?
Yeah. You can see here on the, that's what you're left with the Sierra floor pan.
So you got the Sierra bulkhead?
Yeah, Sierra bulkhead, and then I think that's where it was cut.
Oh, right, that's the same what you picked.
So that's where he shortened it there. And as you can see how it all fits in to the Mark 1.
This is Mark 1 here?
No, this is the Mark 1
here.
There. And then this is all Sierra here. Right? So you can see where it's all just built in. I mean, it just slid in. Even the same wheel arch, you know, what you call your cant rails that fit over the wheel arches are the same diameter to the Mark 1.
What's the same, sorry?
The cant rails, that's like the bracketry that fits on top of the wheel arch.
Right.
The arched bits.
Oh, right.
The rest of the, like the Sierra floor pan wheel arches fitted up inside the bodywork of the Mark 1 perfectly.
1? Like the inside of the inner wings
the
kind of thing?
The inner wings. You know, so there wasn't any drama there, like.
So you got quite lucky? Or did you kind of half expect it?
I kind of half expected that. See, that's how much wider the wheel arch is for a forest arch.
And it's steel, not fiberglass?
No, it's steel.
Hard steel.
So just make up brackets to make it legal.
To cover the wheels?
To cover the wheel and then fill it in with metal. And you see the wheel tabs as theirs made, and they're all just... See, if you look at the Mark 1, this is what we call a cantrail. The Mark 1 cantrail fits on top of the Sierra.
Right, so this is Sierra here?
This is Sierra here and here, and then this is Mark 1 here.
And you're running a Sierra rear beam?
It's a Sierra axle, yeah. It's a Cosworth axle with the bolt-on axles, not the push-in ones. So they're stronger, these, I believe.
Yeah.
So then I made up boot chassis legs, you know. And then I think the next photograph will be the floor pan gone in. You know, the new boot floor that I just made up. You know?
Mate, that's incredible.
It looks rusty, but it's no, it's just the colour of the photograph. Then you come onto the front. This is the bulkhead. So they obviously got Sierra.
That's all Sierra, isn't it? There,
yeah, that's Sierra, classic Sierra.
The fuse box.
And then you've got the bulkhead, which was all made up. And that's the pocket in there for the window wiper system.
Right. Because the Mark 1 originally has like a big bubble thing here, doesn't it?
It has, that's the plenum chamber for the heater. And of course the Sierra doesn't have that. So being a road car, it has to have a heater. So therefore you've got to make up a plenum chamber, right? That works with, so obviously your air and water's gone in there, so it separates the air and water as a plenum chamber does. But
like rainwater kind of thing.
Yeah, rainwater, but or when you're washing it in this case. Or a Sierra doesn't have that. So that's another engineering obstacle you have to overcome, right? But it was easy enough, right? So that was that. Then you come on to the wings. Now that's a nice photograph there. This is like the Mark 1, you know, the bonnet rail, and that's Sierra. So then you just fill it in, make up some nice metal, weld it all in.
So this is where your wing, that's where your wing bolts to?
What your wing bolts to, and that's Sierra, right? So then that's how you make that in there. So then you've got more fabrication. And again, it's made so everything's bolt on, so I can dismantle this quite quickly, you know, because
If you need to change an engine,
yeah, everybody looks at that and think, wow, that'll take you days. No, it doesn't. 2 hours that engine's out of there.
Have you had it out since you've done it?
No.
Never need to. Never need to.
I thought I might. And again, I've got a spare engine. You know how much it cost me?
How much?
200 quid.
Aye. I bet they're not that now though.
They are.
Are they still?
Yeah,
Are they?
yeah. You'll still pick up a 2.5 V6 for
Couple of
300 quid, low mileage.
Aye.
And they're
Sound mint as well.
bomb-proof, the things. But they're a very unloved engine because they're not in any books. You can't get anything for them. You know, you mentioned Pinto, you know, Crossflow, Red Top, Cosworth, all these buzzwords, and just add zeros on.
Aye.
That's the cheapest 300 horsepower you'll ever get.
If it breaks, can you buy pistons and valves and everything?
Yes,
aye.
Aye.
Buy the parts easy enough.
Just don't fix it, just shove another one
Buy
in.
another one.
It's a stock engine.
Stock internals.
Yeah.
Even when the supercharger.
Aye. Yeah. So it's no problem. So that's the sort of fabrication side of things from Sierra Escort.
That's Sierra this.
That's the
It's
Sierra.
in a wing part, and that's the Mark 1.
Yep, that's the
where
Mark
the wing
1
would go.
where the wing would go. Then that's the standard forest arch on there, right? That's where the standard forest arch came to.
You see
For
the
a
wing
standard
sticking out.
Yeah. So then you just take the plasma cutter and cut it off and then pull it out until it's
Where you want it.
where you want it. But I had a weight problem. I didn't know the finished weight.
Of what, the car?
Aye, because obviously the car was going to get heavier. It was getting built, so it would upset that. So I had a guesstimation of the weight, right? And you can see in the photograph there tractor weights.
All right.
They're in there, and there's a couple lying on top of the engine, and they're 35 kilos each. So I just had a guesstimation to weight it up.
Put a couple
and
hundred
then,
kilos or
and
something
then
in.
pulled the arch so it was legal across the wheel, and then filled it in, as you can see in the next photograph.
So all steel as well, no fiberglass obviously.
Yeah.
And you were saying you made this jig?
Yeah, I made the rollover jig. Again, it's purpose built. I actually built the Mexico in that as well because I hate spits. Spits put too much pressure on a vulnerable shell. You know,
I know
when
what
you're
you
putting
mean.
sills and floor pans in, they can bend and makes your door gaps terrible. So when you fit this system on, which I just made up in a big roller, and then it just spun round on a made up rollers. You just hand pulled it round, and the weight of the car just kept it wherever he needed to be. So that was a godsend, that. And it's onto proper strong bits on the chassis and not putting pressure on bits that you don't want pressure that's going to move.
So that's the anti-roll bar mount where you've got a bolt to do, isn't it?
That is, aye. And it's the same at the back.
Is that what you got on the...
You see it on the back there. It's on the mountain.
The VB mount.
Yeah. So that's the Sierra floor pan with my made up boot panels in, right? So, and you can see the seam there.
All right, so that's what, because
That's
you're
with
seeing
7 inches shorter length.
you've shortened the Sierra floor pan 7 inches to get
And
the weight.
then, it was handy for taking it outside and blasting it.
Oh, so you blasted all the shell?
Oh, the shell was all
it.
blasted, but every time you revealed another panel came off, there was more, rot. So back out to the blaster, and then more itch and primer on it. So as you were going along, you were discovering bits as you dug deeper,
Which you're going to on any car, to be fair.
Yeah, but then the wasn't planned was the roof was knackered because it was a 1300E and it had a vinyl roof, and the roof gutters were rotten.
Right.
And I couldn't save them.
Right.
So it was needing another roof.
So where did you get a roof? Did you get an old, like a rotten shell and cut the roof off?
Again, it was just a mate of mine's, had a couple of old Escorts lying around, and the roofs were fine.
Just went along, chopped one off?
Yeah, the roofs are only buggered because they're a vinyl roof.
Is that what holds the moisture in?
Yeah, it does, aye. And it goes for the gutters.
Right.
And they start to rot inside the gutters. But normal roofs, it's about the only place that's actually safe in a Mark 1
is
the roof.
The
rest are dodgy, to say the least. So unfortunately did the roof. And then it was into the booth. Getting the filling done there, like.
All done by you as well, up to now?
No. Oh, I've filled some rally cars, I can assure you. Again, the big job was to paint the underside when it was on that, so I painted that separately, the underside.
Right.
So it's got 3 layers of you know, 2-pack paint on it, like, so that should be. It's wax oiled and everything, you know. So it's well protected, although it's never in
rain.
It's in rain, but it's never in
salty
horrible conditions. And then that's just other photographs of it
in paint,
getting into paint. Yeah, as you can see, it's forming up, and again, everything was painted with the wings off, and then all the wings and things were painted separately: doors, wings, front panel,
and bolted on.
Yeah.
It's coming together.
That's it coming together. That's the sort of wire, and you can see the power steering motor in there.
Oh, is that out for Corsa or something?
No, well, funny enough, no, because a Corsa is quite a big motor. That's off a Suzuki Wagon R.
Right.
Because they're quite tiny and they're less bulky, but do the same job. So obviously it's got its own ECU. And I think that's the photograph there. You see the blue seats?
Oh, so that they're blue there. They're like a dark navy.
They're blue there. Yeah.
There's your instrument panel. What you made up?
Making which is it started off as one of these planks for a flooring.
Right.
You know, that you have in your kitchen or whatever, that flooring.
Like laminate.
Laminate flooring. That's it. That started off life as that. I mounted the clocks on and then made it up there.
Mate.
So you know it's
it's incredible what you've done. It really is.
Now here's an interesting car.
Right.
There was a story some time ago that Ford was going to bring it back, as many cars have come back in. You know, like the Fiat 500, the Beetle,
the Minis,
you know, the Mini. Look how successful that's been. Well, this was Ford's vision. You know, a drawing
Escort.
of the new Mk1 Escort, and I think it looks.
It looks mint, but would never have looked like that.
Similar,
but
there was another version of it which was there. Now, do you think that would sell?
I don't think they would release it looking like that.
Do you know what I think?
No, especially if they wouldn't put the fog. It would all be dumbed down and changed.
Yeah.
They always look nice when they prototype them, don't they?
Yeah.
But then when they come out, they've got smaller wheels.
Well, if it's anything like this is the worst thing of this car is washing it or cleaning it. It doesn't lend itself for that. Unlike your modern car, it's very easy to clean the front.
Aye. Oh, it's full of like...
Not.
Aye.
That's the very opposite.
Mate, incredible. Do you keep that in the car then, Steve, in your boot?
Well, just in case somebody's interested.
I'm guessing you haven't got any social media. Have you got social media?
Well,
Instagram or anything?
Nah, just Facebook, really.
Do you want to leave any links to anything for anyone to follow? Cool off a bit there.
Well, absolutely. Facebook, really. That's all the thing I do, really.
Well, I'll tell you what, fellas. A massive thanks to Alan for taking us out. If he's happy, I'll leave a link to his Facebook below where you can message him, have a look, ask him some more questions about the car. But mate, thanks so much for taking us out in this. Honestly, I've absolutely loved it.
Hope you've enjoyed a bit running the Scottish borders countryside.
Thanks so much. But yeah, again, fellas, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Cheers. Spot on, mate.
Thank you. Good.
Oh, I'm sweating.
Absolutely.